The gentlewoman from Virginia, Ms. Comstock, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you. I joined the enthusiastic response of the other members of the committee. I'm from a family of educators. My husband was in school. He was an assistant principal, certainly saw this issue quite a bit, oftentimes with the children who might be, since he was the assistant principal, some of the kids who would get in trouble, right, because they're acting out in some ways. My sister's a guidance counselor. My mom was a librarian, so I've seen a lot of this. So I was interested in maybe following up on the technology. Now that I have 3 grandchildren also, how can we make parents sort of be partners, and what are some of the good things that are already online? Are there things on iPads? Are there things that you can start doing with young children that help you identify if there are early problems and help the parents be partners with you and with others and you know, and their contemporaries?
Well, we have actually come out with a distance learning component, as you might call it, speaking to Mr. Palmer's question earlier. That is a direct, is Fast Forward that is run by parents in their own home with children across the many ages in collaboration with a trained therapist who talks to, or teacher that talks to the parents once a week. So there's a lot that parents can do to use these technologies, but the beauty is that they don't have to have the educational level of a trained professional to be able to implement. What parents can do is implement something when it's really running individually and individually adaptive for a child, and just keep them motivated to do it and help with reinforcement that way. So there's a lot that parents can do with these technologies. We also have kind of forayed a little bit into early math learning and developed a program called Eddie's Number Party, which is just a little app. And it teaches the number line. So research is coming out with all this information, as is education. And the question is, how do you work together with the people who know how to motivate kids now through developing computer games to do something with their time which is more valuable? And I think that's a great way also to focus in the future of how do we make what kids are going to be doing and wanting to do anyway, playing with these computers, something that's going to actually teach them the fundamental skills that are going to set them up early in life for success in math, in oral language, in written language, et cetera.
And you know, with the online, and then also maybe you talked about just the language exposure and having kids exposed to more words, things like that. I hear from my kids now when they're dealing with having their children, they won't put them in front of television. I was a big Sesame Street lover, and I did park them in front of that at the arsenic hour at 4 o'clock and let them watch. And they were all very early readers, and they learned that. I mean, I thought that Sesame Street did a very nice job on the alphabet and having them understand that. But now we can't let them in front of the TV before they're 2 years old. Is that true? Did I totally mess up my early reading children?
Well, there's a difference, I think. I think the question is interactivity between adults and children. In the best of situations, the very best thing you can do is have parents who are talking to children and reading with children in a clear, consistent way. But that's not going to happen in most environments. So then what else can you do? Passive observation does not work to drive neuroplasticity. That's one of the factors that we do know. You have to actively pay attention. So if a child is actively paying attention to what's going on an educational program like Sesame Street, it's going to be helpful. But if they're just passively listening, it probably isn't. Where computers, again, can be better than that is that they can provide similar information, but give one-on-one, individually real-time feedback, so it's much more interactive. It much more simulates the parent-child or teacher-child interactions in real time, and that's the clue. In real time and personally, individually adaptive to your brain, so you're moving at the speed that your brain is getting about 80% correct.
Right. Any other comments? Any others?
I think the assistive technology piece is key, and we have an assistive technology person that's on our staff that goes out and works with our students as they they get explicit instruction to start, and then as they're getting better at reading, we use more and more assistive technology, not only for their reading, but for their writing, which is dysgraphia is really connected to this reading issue of dyslexia. And so we find that many of our students who are dyslexic are dysgraphic as well, and there's wonderful apps for that and wonderful assistive technology applications for that. The University of Edinburgh actually has some great apps that we put on our kids' iPads that help them out in schools with dyslexia and dysgraphia and decoding and encoding and immediate feedback sorts of things, and help them with their writing as well. So I think assistive technology, that the explicit, multisensory, systematic, sequential teaching, that's the Orton-Gillingham method, I think is always going to be inherent in helping our dyslexic kids get to that place where they can read. But the technology of the repetition that they need in order to build those new neural pathways that are more successful for reading than the ones that they came to us with, I think is really key.
And I would ask the chairman if for our record we can maybe include a lot of those apps and websites and anything that you think might be good, just sort of as a demonstration, so we can sort of put them on our websites, let people know about them in any way we can be promoting this information and help. And thank you a lot. Look forward to working with you.
Good idea. Thank you, Ms. Comstock.